Over the last 5 months, I've sent more than 5 million emails for one company, and I want to show you which of those emails did the best. So, if you've ever wondered what good copy actually looks like, look no further, I am going to show you. For context, this email qualified more than 50 high-value prospects for a business where those customers can be worth anywhere from $1,000 all the way up to more than $40,000 per year. The company is focused primarily on B2B, which means that its customers are businesses, and those customers pay a monthly subscription to get the software. So no wonder that each customer is usually worth thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars per year. Which also means any copy you can write for this kind of business that does well is going to in turn make a lot of money and has a potential to make you a lot of money. So I want to be very transparent in sharing exactly why this copy worked, what made the email so good, and how you can do the same. So here it is. This is the email. It's not very long. It doesn't seem like it's much to look at, but as we zoom in and as I talk you through why it works so well, you will understand why the copy in this is so darn good. To keep things easy, I'll talk you through it section by section so you understand exactly what is working for each piece. And I'll explain the principle behind what's working so you can replicate it in any future copy that you write. So, some context, because as all good copywriters know, copy is nothing without the context behind it. We need to fill in the reason that we're sending it in the first place, and you need to understand why this did so well for the target audience it was intended for. As I mentioned, this email was for a B2B business, so its customers are businesses themselves, and this was effectively cold outreach. This was going out to prospects who may not have heard of the company before and certainly don't have an existing relationship. An easy way to think about it, especially if you're a beginner copywriter, is the fact that when you're reaching out to clients, those people don't know you yet. It's a cold outreach. And that means that you really need to win them over quickly and show them something that's useful so they will talk to you in any way. It's the exact same here. Trust me, businesses have the exact same problems you do. But we also know that this was going out to a list of relevant prospects. So even though the people getting this email didn't have an existing relationship with the company, we still know that they were relevant to the message and they may need what the company can provide. After all, if we were sending this to a list of submarine manufacturers, no one would sign up. So the list that you are sending to is just as important as the copy itself. In this case, the target audience were pharmacies, specifically pharmacy owners. So how do you approach a group of business owners who may not have heard of your company, but you think might need your service? Well, with cold outreach, you effectively have two options. Either you can go the indirect route. Instead of starting with a sales pitch and risking putting them off straight away, you can instead approach them about something that may be extremely useful to them, or just some free value, or try to bump into them at a party or talk about how great they were on a podcast. In fact, this is what I often suggest for copywriters who are trying to get clients. It's usually quite good to network with people and start talking to them about something outside of your direct service, just so they start to like you and they can get a feel for what you may be able to offer in the future. The second approach you can take is to be more direct, but say something that is so hyper relevant to the person who's receiving the email, they can't possibly ignore it. Effectively, you need to give them an offer that's too good to refuse. That is what this email does. As we all know, the best copy starts with a great idea. So what is the idea of this email? What is the first thing that we hit the prospect with that we want to communicate? Well, the first thing that they'll read if they open this email is the new way for pharmacies to earn revenue passively in 2024. That was also the subject line of this email. So before we even look at anything else, why is that such a great idea? Well, we're talking to a business owner at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter if they're in pharmacy or they're in manufacturing or they're in the car trade or whatever else. The fact is, most business owners are looking for ways to make more money, so immediately it seems more relevant to them. However, we're not just approaching them saying, hey, I can make you more money. We're being very specific that this is for pharmacies, and we're adding the additional dynamic of talking about how they can earn it passively, something that pharmacy owners are very interested in because so many of them are rushed off their feet. This in itself is a brand new idea to a lot of pharmacy owners. You may be watching this thinking, well, earning revenue passively gets talked about all the time, Alex, come on. But the fact is, pharmacists aren't really exposed to that world of marketing hype. So yes, you may be used to finding it on get-rich-quick schemes online, but a lot of business owners, particularly in more professional, traditional industries, aren't really used to that kind of promise. So for a lot of them, this may be one of the first times they're hearing a claim of being able to earn revenue passively as a business owner. So forget everything else about this email for a second. The fact that someone is coming to them directly and saying that there's a chance they could earn revenue passively in their business is quite interesting. Let's assume for a second that they didn't need any more convincing. That idea in itself is so amazingly interesting that how could they not inquire about it? That's why giving them a super easy to understand, simple, but also appealing idea is the crux of any good copy. But even further than that, something else that this headline complex does is quite clever. Something else that me and my team knew about pharmacy owners is the fact that they're sometimes quite skeptical about schemes and software that don't pay them directly. So even though this idea is already exciting, we wanted to add one more thing, and that is the final line of the headline complex: and get paid immediately into your own account. The great thing about that is it's immediately overcoming the most likely objection that they're gonna have, which is, okay, even if this does work, I wanna make sure that I'm getting the money up front and there's no funny business. Well, guess what? We know that that's something they worry about, so we're getting it out the way early. This amazing idea that we know you want also covers the thing you're most worried about. So there you have it. In one headline complex of this email, we can already see how the idea has been communicated in an extremely effective way around a topic that our prospect is going to be interested in. We haven't even spoken about the product very much yet. All we've brought up is the fact that they can have this benefit we know they want. So for context, what exactly is this product? Well, like I mentioned, it's simply a SaaS subscription where pharmacy owners can make more money by providing an additional service. This is something that the software provides, and they don't have to put much more work into it. We haven't even told them what the product is yet, but the idea on its own is so interesting that they want to learn more. And because we've done our research on the product and the SaaS and we understand exactly what it can do, we have known to highlight the fact that this can be done passively. It doesn't require a load of work from the pharmacy owner themselves. So straight away, all in all, the headline complex and the main idea of this email are true to the product, and they're true to what we know the prospect is most interested in. That's why as soon as someone gets this in their inbox or opens the email itself, they can understand the value of the idea that we're putting to them. But that's not enough. We all know that humans are skeptical creatures. We can't just claim something and then have someone believe us. We also need to back that up with evidence. Let's look at this from the reader's perspective for a second. Okay, fantastic. Earning revenue passively in my business sounds like a great idea. And you've covered the objection that I'm most worried about. Great. But how do I know this is for real? And that's something we have to deal with. Prospects reading this may feel that this is just too good to be true. So we need to hit them with proof straight away. And that's something else this email does brilliantly. Just look at the proof point in front of you. It's backing up the fact that money can be earned from this by shoving in your face the exact amount within the specific time frame that was earned. And also it's providing a very raw screenshot of what looks like a pretty official table of actual money being paid. And that's exactly what it was. We use something genuine and real to prove our point. It's not just us saying so, there's an additional screenshot that makes the prospect feel like they're getting behind the scenes to understand, right, so this is for real. That in itself is an extremely strong proof point and immediately overcomes any further objections the prospect may have about, well, have other pharmacies really benefited from this? It's clear that they have. We're showing you the evidence. And then to round off the top of this email, we can see a big button right there, book a free demo. So why do we have a CTA this high up? You may be used to seeing certain pages or emails or sales letters where the CTA and the offer don't get revealed until quite far down. For this, we're being so direct with what the offer is, we're showing proof so early on, and the idea is so easy to communicate that for a lot of people reading this, they will just want to get to the next step immediately. So we don't want to make it any more difficult for them than it needs to be. We want to have a very easy button for them to press straight away. Because guess what? Half of the people who clicked through from this email clicked the CTA at the top. Who knows how many of them may have clicked off if they had to scroll down anymore. Oftentimes when you can be so direct with something and you know that you can prove what you're saying, it's useful to have something early on that people can click, because a lot of people just want to get through things quickly. In fact, the only criticism that I would give to this email is that the CTA could perhaps be clearer. We are saying book a free demo, so it's obvious what the next step is, but it's not exactly clear what that demo is going to be around, how long it's going to take, and where you're going to go once you click the button. Are you taking me to a booking form? Am I going to go to a calendar? Do I need to email you directly? I'm not sure. So if I was changing anything about this email, it would just be making the CTA a little bit clearer. Nonetheless, it's still a CTA that's high up, supporting a very clear idea, and it is giving you some idea of what the next step is. But what about everyone else? Forget the people who are the perfect prospects who are going to click straight away. What about the others who just need a bit more convincing? Well, there are plenty of them too, which is why this email isn't just half a page long. You see, after you've communicated the simple idea, you've overcome an objection, you've shown proof that it works, what is the next logical step you come to? Well, a reason that some people may not be clicking through is because, yeah, they understand that there's proof for it, but they don't yet understand how the system actually works. Which is why we have this section here, to remove any doubt or confusion about exactly what they'll be getting with this service. So we break things down logically and show them how it works. Remember, a demonstration is more powerful than 1,000 words. Most people think that just applies to things like e-commerce, where you're just showing a physical good in action, but that's not the case. A lot of times people just want to be shown what it is they're going to get on the other side of purchasing, or how the service is going to work in its entirety. Remember, a confused mind doesn't buy, and if someone just doesn't get how the benefits are going to be delivered, they're not going to click through. So it almost doesn't matter what this section says specifically, we're just showing, hey, this thing that we've claimed up here, this is how it's actually going to work. I know you're probably not a pharmacist, but hopefully it's pretty obvious what this means. Here are a few medications that you can prescribe through this new service, and here's the kind of margin they have. Suddenly it becomes a lot clearer how exactly that monetary figure we mentioned above is going to be achieved. As you can see, we go into quite a bit of detail in this section because remember, the prospects that we're dealing with here are highly intelligent professionals who know everything about their industry. They know the specifics about how the medication journey works, and they want to know exactly who is responsible for what part of it. So we need to show them. It's no good in us just sitting back and going, you can figure it out for yourself once you have a demo. Some people really want to see the logic behind this before they go any further down the customer journey. And that is why demonstration is so important. Sometimes it's not the copy you write, it's not in the idea, it's just about showing people how those benefits are going to be given to them. And a demonstration of how it works is so often the solution to getting people over that hurdle. And lastly, even if people love the idea, their objection has been handled, they've had proof in front of them, and they understand how the system works, sometimes the last thing in their way is just a lack of trust. After all, this is a cold email, remember? They haven't necessarily had a relationship with us before. They don't know what we're like as a company. We need to show them that we're trustworthy, which is exactly what this last section does. This service is built directly into our proven pharmacy tech platform that more than 1,600 pharmacies and 750,000 patients already use. Well, that sounds like a trustworthy business. I don't think that they'd be trusted by 15% of the pharmacies in the country and hundreds of thousands of people if they weren't able to deliver. You'll notice I haven't gone into a lot of the specific lines of copy in this email. And yes, they don't have any fluff in them. They're very direct to the point and they support the idea that we're trying to show. But for a lot of the time, it doesn't really matter on the specific words you use as long as you're communicating the correct idea at each step. And so far we've had the main idea, the main objection, the main proof, the main demonstration, and now the main element of trust. And as long as you're getting all of that across to people, well, there's no reason they won't click through and do what you want. And to round the email off, you can see that we repeat the same CTA that we have throughout the rest of it. Very simple, book your free demo. And remember, we're only trying to drive people towards one action. We don't want to confuse them of what to do next. It's no good if we have a link to a blog or another sales page and then also a booking form all in the same email because they won't know what they need to do. If we've done our job as copywriters in making sure they understand the value of what we have to offer, we just need to send them in one direction and they will be happy to follow. So when my team and I put this email together, we wanted to make sure that this was being adhered to. Regardless of anything else we said in the messaging, we needed to make sure that the prospect reading it understood where to go next. And all that is why this email did so well. It had over 50 qualified leads come back and say, hey, yeah, I might be interested in this, and it led to tens of thousands of dollars in revenue that is repeated every single year. And this email is being sent out again and again to different lists because it worked so damn well. This isn't just applicable to B2B cold outreach within the pharmacy industry. You can use these principles for pretty much any kind of copy you want, as long as you're trying to persuade someone who doesn't yet trust you. As long as you're being hyper relevant to them and you're giving them the respect of showing them what they need to see to carry on, why would they not click through? Now, of course, not all copy is going to be so brilliant, but as long as you're sticking to these kind of principles, no matter what the niche or the medium or the goal of your copy, you're probably going to do a good job. And it's why emails and copy like this are so important and fundamental to research, understand, and analyze. Once you can see why the stuff in this email works, you are well on your way to becoming one of the best copywriters in the world. Seriously, this is the kind of stuff that most newbies just don't bother researching properly. If you're confining yourself to just looking at one kind of copy in one kind of niche, you're never going to consider the kind of principles that can work across a load of places. So I want you to take away what you've learned just from looking at this one successful email and apply it where you can. Remember, across the hundreds or thousands of emails that we sent up to 5 million times, this was the one that did the best. So it's probably worth listening to. And there you have it. That is a successful email, why it worked, and how you can apply the principles somewhere else. And if you want more copywriting lessons like this, take a look at the rest of the videos on our channel, or have a look at the Patreon where we reveal the best performing copy that we've seen and exactly why it works. Thank you for listening. Go write some good emails.